Thank you very much, Leo Justin, for the very nice welcome and introduction. So may I share my screen now? It's clear, yeah? Can you see it? Can you see the slides?
Yes, big and clear.
Good. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee, organizing chairperson, to the committee, to the host, President Vincent Liu, organizing chairman Alvin Wong, and District Governor Lion Tan Teo, Deputy District Governor, and of course Datuk Javan, past DG and the current chairman for Life Initiative for Environment. I would like to thank Lions for spotting me. This is the first thing that I would like. I appreciate so much. I'm very glad and honored to be here, to be the first of the speaker for the series, for the environmental program organized by Lions, and particularly Lions Kuala Lumpur Central. And secondly, I would like to really express my appreciation for the awareness that Lions Club Malaysia, a district, have on the environment in particular, with special interest on mitigating or adapting to climate change, and then as well as other activities that are lined up for a life. So I would like to see more efforts, and we all know that Lions Club has been a very powerful community organization, providing services for community. And one step ahead now is working on an environment where we all know, with good environment, with good natural surrounding, with good quality of environment, our social well-being will be addressed, our economy will be addressed as well. So these three important pillars must go along together. So we have this awareness, so let's do it properly, and let's go all out and taking hopping on to the messages by the president, by DG and past DG. Let's roar for all Lions and Leos to work together. And not only among Lions and Leos and the community that all of you serve, we also have to reach out to our leaders, the current leaders, and future leaders in this sense, to initiate or to facilitate appreciation of nature. So if we appreciate alone, without taking significant action, things cannot move. We know in Malaysia, sometimes awareness alone is not enough. So we need to be to support it with laws, with campaigns. So this is what Lions and Lions and Leos can work on. So again, I would like to thank Lions and Life in particular for having me to assist in many programs in the past 1 to 2 years. We have managed to educate a small group of students, of school kids, and we all know that they will become our future leaders. They are the future generations that will be responsible, that will have to adapt and face issues like climate change. But then I cannot allow for all of us to give or to just leave the unhealthy world to them. It is our responsibility now, our generation, Leos in particular, that will become immediate leaders, and current generation of leaders. We have to do something right. We have to do the right things to leave the world behind, a healthy world behind for our future generations. So it's not fair to just leave the world to them, right? Of course, we can educate them now, but we ourselves must change. So educating future generation is one channel to go, and educating our current leaders, is another strategy to go about. So in this picture, Datuk Java mentioned that what this happened in his kampong, just a few weeks before the lockdown. So we managed to carry out this event, a massive planting. No, I mean, yeah, we did some planting activities there in Pantai Leka, with the support of YBU Bein at that time. She was the minister, and with the strong support. And I got to know that Lions Club is the largest, the biggest, the strongest NGO in Malaysia and possibly the world. So there you go. With the strong support of these huge membership, a lot can be done. Yeah, you have already successfully have this reputation of providing services to community. So enhance that contribution by asking or bringing the members and community to also support environmental conservation. And of course, it's not just slogans, it's not just messages, it's not just this webinar. We have to carry things out on the ground. We have to work very hard together. We have to strategize, and more importantly is to collaborate. I second what Datuk Javel mentioned just now. It's not just working alone. Yeah, we collaborate with local communities, collaborate with scientists. This is another important thing. That's why I thank you very much for engaging me to be part of the team, to be part of this initiative, because scientific input is very important. We have to do things. Conservation require knowledge. So we cannot simply do because otherwise we will waste a lot of energy, waste a lot of money, waste a lot of resources if we don't do things correctly. So what we're doing today is the educational part of conserving mangrove as a means to mitigate and adapt to climate change. So I would like to start with giving you this super beautiful view. To me, this is super beautiful. I think many of you would agree with that. And this is not anywhere else in the world. This is in Malaysia. So we have this kind of beauty, and we used to have plenty of this throughout our coastline. Yeah, but like Dr. Javan said, his mangrove in his kampong already gone, and that was our mistake before, right? So we know, we learn about the mistakes, we have to do better now on. Yeah, and as mentioned also by DG, by President earlier, this is a beautiful dynamic forest, if you like. So it naturally actually change, it expand, and sometimes it retreats a little bit, and actually what happens here in Sri Buat Mangrove many hundred years ago, it used to be like a group of small islands and coral reefs, but eventually there was sedimentation, and it was suitable for these mangrove to dominate. Now it becomes a huge connected islands. So that is what one important role that mangrove do. And in many countries, lucky countries like us, Malaysia, it has, mangrove has supported a lot of communities. If you remember, so many villages and towns were built on the coast. And if you think properly, why they live or why they settle on the coast was because of the resources they find in their surroundings. I will explain in that a little bit detail later. And lately, just before the pandemic, this particular site, for example, in Langkawi, received about 600,000 visitors alone in 1 year. And there were few years, they reached almost 1 million visitors to this particular site alone. So imagine how attractive they are to visitors and tourists from all over the world. Because I want to highlight one very important thing in just a little bit. Okay, so what is important that we need to know is that mangrove, like in the picture now, they are actually a typical tree, just like in your pokok durian, your pokok rambutan, or your garden, or your tree like them. They have to breathe carbon dioxide to make food for themselves during photosynthesis. So by doing that, they absorb carbon dioxide, and at the same time, they also absorb oxygen for their respiration, but they release more for us. So that's why DG mentioned about them being the carbon sink and the lungs, kidneys and lungs at the same time, for not just people in Langkawi here, like this picture, but the whole world. It plays a role for the whole world. And then the more important thing is, it is not, at the same time, it is not like your normal forest. It is being inundated with water. So every day, there will be tides coming in. So during high tide, you cannot see the roots, you cannot see the soil, you cannot see the sediment. So that makes them a wetland. They are at the same time, they are also them a forest wetlands. So this is the point that I want to highlight. You can only find mangrove. Countries, 113 countries have mangrove. So that's why also I say that mangrove is a signature habitat or a trademark ecosystem for the tropics. But we have to be proud and prouder actually for being in the red circle, because in this red circle is where we can find the highest number of species of mangrove plant and the largest area combined, the largest region with the largest amount of mangrove. But then, of course, it is good for all of you if you have the chance after this lockdown, after this pandemic, to travel around. So if you travel around going into tropical countries, capture a lot of picture and go visit their mangrove, and you can compare with what we have here in Malaysia. But I want to take you here, somewhere in India and Bangladesh, to the largest piece of mangrove in the world. Okay, so just now I say the whole region. Cumulatively we have the biggest amount of mangrove. Malaysia ranks 3rd to 5th. Different statistic say, but basically we are top 5 in the world to have largest amount of mangrove. But one piece of mangrove, the largest one piece of mangrove is here in India and Bangladesh at the border. So I would like to highlight to you another thing about being in the tropical belt is that we have mangrove to protect our coast. At the same time, in the tropical belt is where you can find, we always receive the highest number of storms, hurricanes, typhoons, and sometimes we call them, and most of the time we call them tropical storm. So there you go. There is a very nice gift, from God, from nature. We have mangrove to protect our coast, as a check and balance from these tropical atmospheric activities. Meaning we have storms, but we have mangrove to balance that out. So this is a very beautiful connection, that you must take into, take that into note. So that's why that is one of the most significant contribution of mangrove. But here in Sundarbans mangrove, in India and Bangladesh, you can find Royal Bengal tiger. So that is the highest, the apex predator, we call them, to live in this mangrove. So it's not just about plants. I want to highlight here, mangrove forest is not just about plants, but the connection with the animals, the wildlife, from as small as zooplankton or a phytoplankton to this highest or largest mammal in the forest, in Sundarbans mangrove. So imagine this tiger living in the mangrove, and you have crocodiles, you have thousands of bird species living in this mangrove. But in other places around the world, you can find these other big mammals and animals living in mangrove. So I want to highlight one thing about bats. A very unique thing about bats and how it connects to mangrove. I want to ask I mean, you can. I cannot see the crowd, but raise your hand if you like durian. So if you like durians, you have to love mangrove, because why? Durians, bats are the key pollinators. Okay, I can see the notification. So many hands being raised now. Bats are the pollinator for durian flowers. So uh, we can get durian fruits every year because it was pollinated. It is pollinated by bats. But as we all know, durian is a seasonal. It flowers seasonally. So it's not all year long. So if bats only depend on durian flowers for the nectar and pollen, they will die the rest of the year, because durian flowers only flower during certain time within the year. So the rest of the year, they will feed on Soneratia cassularis flower. That is a mangrove, a type of mangrove plant. So that is how we protect durian, we protect bats if we protect mangroves. That is one connection that you may want to also take very important note. So you can tell your friends and family, hey, we love durian, right? So to maintain, to make sure durian will be there for forever, we have to protect the bats, and at the same time we have to protect mangrove, otherwise bats will die because they don't have food. So something like that. And jaguar, this was taken by my friend in Mexico. So many things. There's so many organisms living in mangrove, underwater and above water. And many of you maybe have visited Sungai Cerating. So this is a view just before dusk, about 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. It looks like a very calm, very pristine. It's like just the forest. But when sundown, you find millions of fireflies. So this is another important thing. They are not just home for plants or for big animals. They are also home, very important home for these beautiful beetles. Very beautiful insects. And they go and visit if you have a chance to Sungai Cerating, to Sungai Yayah in Terengganu, to Kampung Dew in Perak, and Sungai Rembau. So many mangroves throughout Malaysia are habitats for fireflies, and they look like Christmas tree on lights, basically. And other parts, okay, this is a proboscis monkey. If you go to Borneo in Sabah, you can find this very special primate living in the mangroves. And we have other birds. Birds love our mangrove because they especially the migratory bird, because in during winter time in the northern hemisphere, they will travel down. They will migrate down south, and while heading to the south, they will stop at our wetlands, at our mangroves, because they cannot shoot like Ferrari going straight to Australia, for example. They have to stop R&R basically. Like us, if we drive from Johor to Perlis, we will have to stop by at our favorite R&R. So birds also have their favorite R&R along the way. So that's why we need to protect our mangrove. For example, Mata mangrove, this family of birds love Mata mangrove. So for many generations, they will stop at Mata mangrove. If Mata mangrove is gone, they will get lost. They will have headache, and maybe they will starve and die also because they couldn't find their favorite spot. So that's why also we have to protect the mangrove that we have. So this is just an explanation. Maybe you can read very quickly, but I just want to highlight that mangroves have some particular definition for them. And these are some of the characteristics that I will explain in a little bit detail. So the more important thing, okay, this is a science bit where you need to understand before helping or assisting in planting, for example. So mangrove is very much influenced by the tides. So this is important. They actually don't need salt water to live. They need fresh water, from rivers, from rain, but their rejuvenation and their success actually depend very much on the tide table. So they live between the mean sea level and the highest tide. So when you go on plane, right, the captain will say, okay, we are now 40,000 feet above a mean sea level. So the pilot actually is referring to the mean sea level, which is the average in between the highest tide and the lowest tide. Yeah, you will get this average. So the issue with sea level rise, like what Dr. Javan mentioned, DG mentioned just now, is the rising sea level. So meaning if we talk about rising sea level, meaning we are talking about the movement of this mean sea level. So if mean sea level increases, the whole zone will increase. So you will expect mangrove to move landward. So this is a very important thing that we need to take note also on how to prepare, how to be prepared. Yeah. Okay. So they live within this zone and they allow their friends, the seagrass, the coral, to live on the other zone. This is a mud flat. So this is the transitional zone. That's why we call it a dynamic environment, because they ever change. Okay, so mangrove is the most approachable habitat and ecosystem, if you like. Why I say that? Because this is different from other forests. Because first, you can approach or enter mangrove from land. This is what I do a lot as a scientist. I walk into the mangrove from land. From a good spot to enter, I will walk into the mangrove. And at the same time, I can also enter mangrove using the rivers or the channels, using boats. So this is one way of, and another way to enter mangrove. And like long time ago, all the travelers from Europe, they come and travel on ships through the ocean, and they can straight away, they were amazed, they were puzzled to see this huge forest growing on the coast, near the beaches. They can see, wow, what type of forest is this? Because it doesn't, they never seen it in their region, in their places. So they find this. So you can approach them, and surprisingly, you can also approach mangrove from above. So don't be surprised if I tell you I have a group of friends in NASA, working, studying mangrove from space. They use satellite, they use imagery, they use drone, LiDAR, and whatnot. But if you look at this animation, you can also think of the impact facing mangrove, meaning impact on mangrove can come from all angles. So this is the point that I want to raise and to make sure all of you can accept, because like tropical forest, for example, directly people, humans, approach it, and damage it by land and extracting the forest. But mangrove, not just by human interference, but also human-induced climate catastrophe. So this is very important that we need to take note. So it's a very highly pressured environment. So imagine you as a human being pressured from all angles. This is what facing the mangrove. Rivers, for example, pollution coming from the rivers, from your industries. Ocean coming from storm, coming from hurricanes, coming from oil pollution, for example. And then of course direct encroachment, like the one in the picture, and of course from the atmosphere, like lightning strikes. If you have extreme changes in climate, you have more lightning strikes, and more damage to the forest. So this is what you need to understand. And by being in between the land and sea, they play a lot of important roles, as an intermediate in between ocean and land. So that's why you can see marine animals, you can see terrestrial animals in mangrove forest. And you can see the tree during low tide, it looks like your durian, but when it's high tide, how come this tree can swim, can stand in the water? So this is very unique, and I will explain a little bit later. So this is a typical view. I'm pretty sure many of you have been to the mangrove. Maybe the real KL boys and girls, maybe if you haven't traveled so much to the coast, this will be your first experience. But try, because I know when you love seafood, you will go to your nearby coastal villages, right? So take time, go early before dinner, maybe visit your nearby mangrove to see what's inside there, because your seafood actually came from here. Yeah? Your squid, your crab, yeah, your nice fish, yeah, all come from the mangrove and the ocean. Yeah. So this is a typical view. So when you look at this picture, yeah, you can see that the first thing I think is the root. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see the unique root system that doesn't happen in normal terrestrial forest. So why do they do this? Yeah, just now I told you they are very approachable, but here this is how they adapt to their environment. So they are very intelligent, not just approachable, they are very intelligent. Because why? They live on a very soft sediment, soft soil, muddy. Because sometimes when I walk into this area, you can see the picture in the video just now that the organizers showed. Some people got, fall down on the mud because it is very hard. It is very soft and hard to stabilize ourselves. I am like 60 kilogram, something there. And I find myself sometimes very hard to balance myself walking in the mangrove, in the mud. So imagine these trees, they are all hundreds, maybe some tons, yeah, of weight. So how do they adapt? They create this unique root, yeah, like tongkat, like crutches. They form this unique adaptation, yeah, to stabilize themselves. And at the same time, this soil, unlike your durian tree and rambutan tree again, they can grow on land because there's so much oxygen in the soil. But in mangrove, there's no oxygen in the soil because they're waterlogged, yeah, pressured down, so no oxygen in the soil. So they have to create this root system to breathe oxygen. Yeah, so they breathe from the air and they absorb from the water. And then the tides come in very little, like 3 to 6 hours a day, half a day, and then go out and then come back. So they have to work very hard, yeah, to absorb oxygen, to absorb nutrient, yeah. So by working very hard, they become very productive, yeah. So there you go. So I give you 3 keywords already: approachable, intelligent, and hardworking. Yeah. So this is a group of very unique plant. So your durian tree can relax, on land. So they always have water in the soil. They always get rain and sunlight. Yeah, okay lah. Every year give us fruit. But for mangrove, they have to work very hard. Yeah, very quietly on the coast, work very hard, produce a lot of oxygen. Yeah, that's why they are productive, and absorb a lot of carbon dioxide. Yeah, why? I will tell you later. And these are some. This is a lenticel which absorb, and this is used to filter salt from the water as well. Yeah, so they don't need salt, yeah, to grow. Yeah, they need a lot of water and nutrient, but they have these lenticels to block the salt. And from this video, you can see so many types of other roots in this area. This is the rhizophora that I show, the one like crutches. But you can see also like knee roots there and pencil roots, yeah, that come up from the sediment. Yeah. Okay. And like I told you, like us human, nobody's perfect. So some of the plants actually absorb salt into their bodies, but because they don't need that salt, they have to find way to excrete it. Yeah, like us, we go jogging, yeah, we do exercise, yeah, to excrete our sweat, yeah, to sweat. But they cannot run like us, yeah, they cannot exercise like us. So they have this mechanism to excrete the salt from their bodies. Yeah? So the in arid area or dry area, we can find a lot of salt crystal. But because Malaysia, we receive a lot of rain. But lately, I think about 1 week, there's no rain in KL. So maybe if we go to the nearby mangrove, we can see this, yeah, salt crystal. And I was lucky I went to Langkawi for my field work, and I found this. So Langkawi has this very long dry period, yeah, every year. So I managed to see this. So this is real. This is not a fake video. So for all of you who love to cook and you find yourself maybe short of salt, you can go to your nearby mangrove. Yeah? And okay, so I give you 3 very unique characteristics about mangrove. The fourth one is that they are very loving creatures. Yeah, the plants, the animals, they are all very loving creatures. Why? I tell you, because again, unlike your durian, mangrove love their babies so much and they want their babies to survive. How? Okay, like durian, you will have to wait for the fruit to fall, yeah, and then you can break it. You chase, yeah, you compete with other people or other animals to get the durian, and then you break it open, you eat the durian, the flesh, and then the seeds you will throw, and it will become a new tree, right? But if mangroves do that, yeah, again, because of the tides coming in and out, their babies will not survive. Yeah, the fruits will not survive. So I just show you very quickly. This is the fruit. Yeah, originally this is a fruit, but the parents allow them to grow to become a tree while still attached to the parents, to the mother or to the father. Yeah, so this is what happened in mangrove tree. So when you go on a visit mangrove, yeah, you will see these things. Yeah, these are called propagules or seedlings. Yeah, hanging. These are all baby trees. Yeah, they are not fruits, normal fruits. Yeah, they are baby trees. Yeah, so the parents let them live with attached to them until they are ready. Yeah, so when they are ready, when the parents know, yeah, nature knows when is the best time to release the babies. Yeah, eventually they will drop the babies and straight away go to the soil. You look at the shape, right? This is rhizophora babies. So look, the shape allows them to straight away go to the soil. And like I said, if they release like durian or rambutan, the tides coming in and out every day, yeah, twice a day, every day, will carry it away. And they may not have the chance to become a new tree. So this is the loving characteristic, affectionate characteristic, yeah? Penyayang lah in Malay. So there you go. These are some of the keywords and key things that you need to know. But again, some of them actually can float. Yeah, they can be buoyant, and the tides carry them away. So, but then not too far away, they will find a suitable place to grow, and they will start a new succession process, a new domination process. Yeah, and these sand flat and mud flats will later on naturally may be generated or become a new mangrove forest. So this is a very secret place. I discovered a new mangrove island being formed. But yeah, this discovery happened just before the pandemic. So I managed to go for a field work, just maybe measured half of the forest. And I hope soon I can go back to the field to work on this area. Yeah? Interesting about this picture. If you see this dot, this was actually the boat that carried me. So I had to walk here, to get to the forest because it was low tide. But while I was working, the tides come in. You see, this happens every day. Yeah, this happens every day. And finally, the whole area is flooded. And I had to get back to the boat. So now the boat can get very clear, very near to me. And I have to stop working. It's very hard to work during flooded situation like this, right? So this is what faced by mangrove every day. Imagine the pressure, the stress they have. So there you go. So if you look at mangrove, appreciate them because they have to face all of this pressure to provide us services. So I've been asking the same question. Why do they have to be here? Yeah, they can just live on land. Yeah, but many million years ago, they sacrificed themselves and walked down to the coast, dominate our coast to provide a lot of benefit to the nature. One of those is this. Yeah, they protect the coastlines. Yeah? And these are also done by my friends at Delta Res. Yeah, they managed to create this aquarium to showcase how wave can be attenuated by mangrove forests. Yeah? So this was the same function they played during tsunami in 2004. I'm pretty sure many of you remember, but maybe many Leos were not born at that time. So learn from your father, your mother, your uncles, aunties. from the Lions, about our experience in 2004. West Malaysia, we always thought that Malaysia is safe from natural disaster, but apparently in 2004 we faced tsunami, which killed many lives, hundreds and thousands of life throughout Indian Ocean countries. So Indonesia until Maldives, India, Bangladesh, all affected by tsunami. So this is very important. And the primary one, the climax for this talk, is how they function as the carbon powerhouse. So every time when Alvin called me, hey, can you talk about mangrove and climate change? So the first thing came to my mind was this person. I'm pretty sure many of you know Clark Kent, yeah. So when Alvin asked me about that, I was like, okay, let me explain it this way, because people perception about mangrove was exactly like Clark Kent before, right? Because you know, Clark Kent, people don't care about him because he's a reporter at Daily Planet, right? So so people don't care. Even his boss never remember his name, except for the girlfriend lah, the Louis Lane. But because people think he's like nobody lah, not important, right? But when he transformed into Superman, he becomes the hero. He becomes the savior that come to the rescue every time people and New York City is in distress. Yeah. So when he transforms into Superman, people appreciate him. People loves him. Yeah. Everyone knows that the value of Superman's services, the protection, the safety, the security that he provides against public enemies and catastrophes. Yeah. So, but then, unfortunately, that only happens in movies. Yeah, that is a fiction. But what we are facing today, what we have to deal with today is not a fantasy or fiction. The enemy, the nemesis we are facing today is very, very, very real. And they are coming our way, affecting each one of us. Not Datuk Javan alone, not DG alone, not President alone. Everyone on the planet is affected. Every corner of the planet is affected. Not Malaysia alone. People in London, people in Russia, people in Antarctica are affected by climate change. It is a huge, monstrous nemesis, and these are all human-induced climate catastrophes, and it brings with it changes. And science have proven that the pumping of carbon dioxide, particularly since the 1700s during Industrial Revolution, we get very industrialized and we pump a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and that causes the atmosphere to heat up, to become very hot, and that causes a chain reaction like what you see in this picture. You can see glaciers on land melting. Of course, you can see a lot of images of ice in Antarctic and Arctic melting. And that causes sea level rise that brings a lot of other issues to us. But then again, we don't have Superman to protect us, and what nature have given us, mangrove forests. So how? You may be asking again, how and why? Are you sure? Am I sure? Of course I'm sure, because this was also proven by so many hundreds of research already. Like I highlighted earlier, they are the kidneys and the lungs of the earth, right? That provide us oxygen and carbon dioxide. And I told you earlier that they are very hardworking because of the pressure, the extreme condition they live in. They have to work very hard to absorb carbon dioxide. And one thing important is that unlike your other forests, which also absorb carbon dioxide, it is not just about the plants, about the trees, because the amount of carbon being stored on the above ground biomass, on the trunk and the leaves, actually very low, not very low, actually lower than what is kept in the sediment. So how mangrove is very efficient in storing carbon, it is due to not just the plant, but the collaboration, yeah, with other organisms. So this is another important thing that lions have to take note. Collaboration, yeah, it's not just about lions, but collaboration with communities, with scientific communities. And in this case, in mangrove case, it is the combination with organisms like crabs. Okay, so you imagine, yeah, every tree, yes, some leaves will get old, yeah, they will turn yellow and brown, and they will drop on the soil, on the sediment, yeah, on the ground. So these leaves contain basically 100% carbon, yeah. So in normal forests, they have to wait for microorganism, yeah, to decompose this leaf to become organic material. So you can find on land organic material on the top layer of the soil. But in mangrove, these fallen leaves are being eaten by crabs. Yeah. So crabs will be the first one to chase this leaf. They eat, they eat, they eat. But some of them, or many of them, become greedy, not just eat. They also carry the leaves into the soil and patch on their holes, on their burrows. So imagine that total full carbon leaf are being kept straight into the sediment. So that is how mangrove are very efficient in keeping, sequestering all the carbon. Yeah? So it's not just absorbing carbon dioxide by the trees, but the carbon are being kept in the sediment. So this has been happening for millions, hundreds, thousands, and millions of years. Yeah, so that's why huge amount of carbon are being stored in the soil of mangrove forest and seagrass meadows, yeah, and peat swamp forest on land also. Yeah, so mangrove, seagrass, and salt marshes. We don't have that much salt marshes in Malaysia, in the tropics, but these three important ecosystem are the most efficient carbon sequester in the world. So this is why, if you read huge documents, big documents from United Nations, climate change documents, from IPCC, from IPBES, they will never miss mentioning the role played by mangroves, seagrass, and salt marshes, or the blue carbon ecosystems. So I hope that is a new important message that you receive. Yeah? Another important thing. Okay, now we go to the second part of the lecture, which actually explain how we influence or impact mangrove and our environment. Okay, so this is a very nice view, my favorite spot in Malaysia, the Matang mangrove. If you look closely, look properly, I hope the picture is clear on your screen. You can see rivers flowing into this mangrove, right? But you walk backwards, and go and you will find the source of this river actually came from these highlands, from these mountains and hills. So this is important message that I want to tell you. These highlands are backbone of our country. Yeah? It's the backbone of our country, but this is also the source of many rivers and channels. So they flow, go through Taiping, Kuala Sepetang, and they flow, the rivers flow, and then stop by a mangrove before being flushed into the ocean. So along the way, the rivers carry water, carry nutrient, carry sediment, to fertilize, to irrigate all the soils, all the sediment nearby, and finally, the sediment will be dropped in the mangrove before clean water go into the ocean. So this is in normal circumstances. But the issue here is the pollution that we put into the river. So we used to have so large amount of mangrove, and we have that natural pollutant in the rivers to balance it out. But the problem we have now is that we put so much pollution into the river, and we lose mangrove forests, to stabilize or to balance that out. So there is already an imbalance in our nature which we need to fix. So there you go. When we talk about protecting mangrove and climate change, It's not just looking at mangrove, but we have to look at the big picture. So, like for example, waste management. Yeah? If you have one plastic, you open your sweets and you throw your plastic cover, yeah, maybe in your house, near your house, upstream, it will eventually flow and it will stop in the mangroves. Yeah? So that is not good. Yeah, I will explain in detail a little bit later. And by being on the coast, mangrove protect seagrass and coral reef, because if there's not enough mangrove to stop the sediment, to filter the pollution, it will also affect the seagrass and coral reef. So we don't have nice place to snorkel and to scuba dive. Yeah? And at the same time, seagrass and coral protect mangrove also, because it slow down also the current coming from the ocean for mangrove to protect us on the land. Yeah. So this is the network again, the collaboration in between habitats and organisms. Yeah. So this is just a summary of the role they play. And like I told you earlier, for many generations already, you can ask your parents, your grandparents, yeah, especially for those of you who came from coastal villages, we know on how our ancestors depended on resources on the coast. Yeah, a lot actually. I may not have enough time to explain. Yeah, but I'll give you an example on how they depended. Again, in Matang, Kuala Sepetang, you see this town, a very lovely town. The size still remain the same, but the density increases along the years, for the past 100, 200 years, because the government protect the surrounding mangrove forest very strictly. And I just want to highlight to you how important mangrove and human towards human is as example, because a little bit of history. This was where the first railway track in Malaysia was built, to connect the tin mines, in Taiping to Port Well, to be exported. So why it was this location that they built this locomotive at that time? Because that locomotive was fueled using this mangrove timber. So it's very conducive, very convenient. They get their food, the seafood, the protein from the ocean, from the mangrove, and then they use it for fuel wood, for to cook also, and also to fuel the locomotive. So it's that is a very direct use of mangrove by the local communities. And since 1900s, early 1900s, Kuala Sepetang has been the very powerful producer of charcoal, and our charcoal is being used throughout the country, and it is also being exported overseas, particularly in Japan, because of the quality. And it is now being used as for tourism also. This area attracts huge number of tourists and visitors. You can learn a little bit more about charcoal production in somewhere. But what I want to show you again, if you remember the map earlier I showed, mangrove you can find in tropical belt, equatorial. If you look at your history book, many civilization actually started off at major rivers throughout the equator. I mean, I bet you so many civilizations started off along the tropical belt. So what do you have on the estuary in the tropics? You have mangrove. So it's not just Kuala Sepetang people, not just Kedah Tua people. People throughout the tropics actually depended on mangrove for many, many, many generations already. But then we learn also from history, we learn of the fall of many civilizations. So that is what we want to try to avoid, because the trend is looking similar. If we look closely to our country, all major cities and towns are located on the coast. All Ibu Negeri are located on the coast, except for Ipoh lah, it's a little bit inside. But Taiping used to be like the major economy for Perak, and also KL, Kelang used to be the Ibu Negeri. So throughout the country, So we have to be very careful. We have to learn from history, because now we want to be a very high income economy and our population is increasing. So we have to be very careful. We have to always remember on how our ancestors depended on our resources. So we have to appreciate it. Yeah. So these are some of the modern things that actually show that we are starting to forget, on how important these ecosystems are. Yeah. For example, I just highlight some of the examples to connect to all of us. Yeah. Like I highlighted earlier, the whole mangrove forest here used to benefit the whole community, yeah, around this area. But if we have this kind of development, it may only provide or give benefit to a handful of community. But more importantly, yeah, like I told you earlier, every patch of mangrove forest actually contains specialized organisms, that play different role in the habitats and ecosystem. Yeah? For example, the crabs, the mud skipper, the fish, and other bivalves and mollusks, they prefer different patch along the mangrove. So it's not similar throughout the area. Yeah? So we lose that already. And then, as we all know, aquaculture ponds cannot survive for a long time. Yeah, maybe 6 or 10 years maximum. And then what all we do all this while, we leave them abandoned. Yeah, so remember I told you earlier, in the sediment was where the high amount of carbon being stored. Yeah, so they are kept underneath the soil for many generations, yeah, for many million years. So when we do this, we actually expose all the carbon that is being stored in the soil. Yeah. So from being the most efficient carbon sequester or carbon absorber, now they become the worst emitter of carbon. So this is what we want to avoid. Yeah. So this is what we need to learn. We have to stop doing bad things, doing bad planning that involve mangrove, because we don't want to spoil. So the country now is heading toward becoming net zero country, in 30 years time, imagine. So these are some of the plans that we have to incorporate. We have to stop exploiting new areas and find ways to rehabilitate this area to become mangrove again. Yeah, so this is the strategy that we want to carry out. And another point is that having this kind of development on the coast. So you all remember I told you and how the mangroves are being flooded every day. Yeah, tides come in and out every day. So it doesn't make sense if we have this kind of development, because we, first of all, tides come in and out. So we basically welcoming disaster and hazards towards us, yeah, if we develop this kind of development in the coast. Secondly, you can imagine how much pesticides and herbicides are being used to maintain this kind of development. So you know what happens when tides come in or rain comes down, it will flush the pesticides into our waterways. And who feeds on the pesticide? Our fish and seafood. And eventually it will come back to us, right? So this is the thing that we need to understand. Okay, so I recall to you about the situation about the tides, coming in and out. So you imagine tides come in and out. So if we have this physical development on mangrove area, the tides will be looking for areas to cover still, but now it is blocked by physical development, and this will make worse, if waves come in, waves from ship, from boats, from typhoon, hurricanes. So this is simple physics. If there is action, there will be reaction. If action, there will be reaction. So basically, what happens to our coast, the erosion, the loss of habitat, the loss of mangrove, are actually caused by us. we actually promote erosion to happen, because we don't allow the tides, and the water to reach the land. We block it, and then we cause this accident, this incident, this erosion, reflection of wave to cause the loss of habitat. So when we talk about erosion, it's not just the sand, not just the mud, it's the whole habitat and the whole forest. So it is made worse by sea level rise. So that's why Dr. Javan and DG just now mentioned sea level rise have huge impacts to us. So when this area is permanently flooded, it is not suitable for mangrove to grow anymore. So this is what we have to take into account. And another, I think this is a final message. Because our perception was wrong about wetlands, about mangrove, we tend to destroy them. And in some cases, we turn them into landfills like this. That does not happen only in Sungai Kertih in this picture. It happens throughout the country. So this is another important point for us all to take note, because again, this is the intertidal area. Waves, tides and wave come in and out, especially during full moon. Tides are very high, so it will carry the garbage out. And another important thing, you can ask your chemistry expert. When we have landfills, it will create chemical pollution. It will create leachate that goes into the underground water system. So this pollutant, this chemical pollution will eventually enter our waterway system again. So there you go. So many issues here. And again, I show you using this animation. So when tides come in, and if we don't manage our waste properly, the garbage will be displaced. It will go maybe into the ocean, maybe on the land. It will go everywhere. And this leads to marine debris issue. And this happens in many mangroves around the country and around the tropics. Okay, I want to highlight why this is very important. This is not small matter. This is very big issue. First, because mangrove lives in between ocean and land, it is a meeting point. So when we throw our plastic bottle on land, anywhere we stand in Malaysia, we are actually in a river basin. So that bottle will flow through the rivers. It will stop in the mangrove. The root was supposed to trap nutrient and sediment, but now they trap this rubbish coming from our house, our home, or our roads. And it also trap all the rubbish or garbage coming from overseas, through the ocean. It's the meeting point. But then when it gets stuck, it cannot go out, because it's trapped by the roots. And this has very huge impact. Why? You remember when I told you about the baby tree that needs to get to the soil? So when you have this kind of pollution, this kind of disturbance, the babies cannot find the soil. They cannot grow to become a new tree. So that's one thing. Secondly, this plastic will dissolve. They will become a microplastic, nanoplastic. And our seafood feeds on them. And now there are proof that the microplastic and nanoplastic are entering our body system, humans' body system. So we have to be very careful. This is the major impact to us humans. And another thing, don't be surprised, sooner or later, the world will get new diseases, new pandemic, because healthy mangrove, without this plastic, it cannot be the place for pest infestation. But because of this rubbish, because of the fresh water in the bottles, that actually cause mosquito, other pests, rodents, to spread. So it's not the mangrove that cause diseases, it's the rubbish and garbage that caused by us. So this is very important message that I want to tell all of you. And this plastic stay there for a long time. This is one site that I was studying. I was doing my field work. It was a very beautiful forest actually, but if you can imagine when the baby tree starting to create that root, right? The small roots actually penetrate the handle of this bottle, and now this tree is already 15, maybe 15 to 20 years of age, looking at the size, and the plastic is still there. Yeah, the bottle is still there. This is how the impact of mangroves are so long, so impactful to our environment. So now we know the situation, we know the importance, and I'm pretty sure I've already reached my time. So let's do our best, to contribute on how to protect mangrove. And this is how you all can participate, to assist Lions Club in general, and maybe Life, and maybe your community, or other organization, or your local government, to protect mangroves. So work with your the authorities, work with your scientific communities, work with local NGOs, and have a look. Go take this opportunity, because we are very rich with mangrove resources, and we are famous for our mangrove resources. Go and have a look, and assist, because when we restore, when we protect our mangrove, a long list of services. So just now I just mentioned or highlight some, but the tangible one, the one that we can see, is only very little. The other roles that they play are very long, so much role, so many roles, they play. But maybe you have to maybe sign up to my lecture or my course to learn about the rest. Yeah, so I think the gist I have already highlighted. Yeah, so we can do a lot of things. We can support the government, private individuals. We can work together. Like big corporations in other countries are supporting protection of mangrove, for example, and maybe helping restore by planting mangrove, for example. But again, I have to tell you, it's not just about planting. Yeah, we have to strategize and know the science behind doing a restoration. And maybe not just by planting, you can invest. We can work on technologies, to help plant mangrove or restore mangrove. So if we have scientists among Leos and Lions today who have the brains, to create AI technology or Internet of Things that can help scientists study, learn about the parameters in mangrove, and identify the best area, we can maybe use drones to facilitate precision planting. So Datuk Javan don't have to walk lah so far and get fall down in the mud if it's too hard. So we can use technology. So DJ and your team, you can maybe plant one or two, and we can use this technology to plant or protect or conserve the rest of the area. So these are some of the things happening in the past 5 to 10 years already. And ultimately, of course, political will. I'm pretty sure, and I'm convinced that many Lions are very influential. I don't take side of your political interest, but do use your energy, use your power to influence decision. Whisper to your member of parliament or wakil rakyat to do the right things, to go for the right direction. Because when we protect our natural surrounding, particularly mangrove, we protect our people. And it's not just people on the coast, but throughout the country, throughout the world. And again, Leos in particular, spread the news, spread whatever knowledge you learn today to your siblings, to your cousins, to your parents, to your friends. Tell them, explode the knowledge, explode the idea on how important these ecosystems are, and how it is important to us. Basically, you can say, if you love food, if you love fish, if you love seafood, you have to love mangrove. If you love durian, you have to love mangrove. So stuff like that. You can make it catchy. I know I'm not that young anymore to use Instagram or maybe other social medias. So the juniors, the Leos can work very hard to change people's perception. Yeah. And that is me, yeah, looking behind, looking at all of you actually asking for help to protect and conserve. And again, it is not just my job, yeah, to study mangrove. It's not just Datuk Javans or DG or presidents or Lions Club role. Yeah, it is not only the wakil rakyat or the forester job to protect mangrove. It is our job together. Each one of us actually have roles to play. If you're a researcher, this is the best platform to do a cross-disciplinary research. We need physicists, we need chemists, yeah, we need hydrologists. Every discipline, if you can remember, this is the one that I can actually recall, but I'm pretty sure many more. And also as civil servant, you can also assist in restoration. Yeah, you can study the human dimension, the history. Yeah, so many things that we need, yeah, to collaborate. I alone and my team of mangrove ecologists, we know a little bit here and there about mangroves, but we need other experts and help from throughout the country and throughout the world. So this is why I created the Malaysian Mangrove Research Alliance and Network as a platform for all of us to exchange. And I'm pretty sure through My Mangrove also actually, Datuk Javan and team, Mr. Jesu, Kim Fong, Alvin actually spotted me. I think because lately, I think the past 1 year, Alvin has been a very big fan of mangroves, I'm pretty sure. So this is how we connect. Yeah? So slowly by slowly spread the words and join us. You are all invited to become member. Online on our Facebook group. You can share issues. For example, if you have issues in Penang, if you have issues in Sabah, yeah, on about mangrove, you want to know what species or what to do with this area, you can just post the question. Many scientists throughout the world mangrove scientists will respond to all of you. Yeah? So this is your chance. I'm offering My Mangroves help for Lions and Life, yeah, for us to collaborate like what requested earlier. Because ultimately, all of us work together to achieve sustainable development and sustainability. Yeah? Not just for our generation now, we have to be prepared. Yeah? We have to prepare the world for the future generations. Yeah? We have to think of our grandsons, yeah? Granddaughters, yeah? Grandkids, great grandkids. Yeah? So the earth needs our help. Yeah, the future generations need our help. Earth can actually flourish by itself. Yeah, but the human components actually need our generations to leave a good legacy. So thank you again. Yeah,